Good morning, Coach.
Hey, how you doing, Coach Clayton?
If I was doing any better, I'd have your name instead of mine.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. As long as we both got God in our heart, we're good.
Without that, we don't make it too far, do we?
No doubt. No doubt.
Coach, I appreciate you taking a minute to interview with me. We got an online sports talk show we do. And, you got a couple of my kids over there.
Yeah, Byron Taylor and Frank Young.
Yeah, both of them from over there, Florida High. They two real good guys.
Hey, I tell you what, they're better human beings than they are coaches, and they're both going to be really, really good.
Well, Coach, you doing a good thing with them. You gonna help them develop in their own professional career because they both are hungry, they both work hard, and they're coachable kids. They're fine young men. We watched them grow up.
We had another kid named Ian Gibson in that spot as well too, and those guys have really done a great job building themselves. And because we got some older guys on staff, especially back then, Coach Evans was here as well too, especially as a black older coach, and Bobby Kennon's done a great job. Those guys have really been mentored well by older guys, especially in this day and age of how quickly can I move up, I might break this rule, I might bend this rule, and, I just saw I don't know what's going to happen, but, Uric, unfortunately, at SMU, when he was a young pup, he used to come to Baylor all the time and seek advice, and, I just don't know what he got caught up into, and I'm not sure exactly, but, these guys have been blessed to be around some really, really good older guys that have been around.
Well, that's key in anything you do, Coach, to have that mentorship. Having been on a collegiate campus for such a long time, myself and a couple of the older coaches that were older than I when I came, we would kind of stop some of the young faculty members sometime and just talk to them a little bit about even how to dress, how to carry themselves, how to be aware of the situations they were in, because we didn't want to see them fall by the wayside getting caught up in stuff they had no business being caught up in.
And, after going to Baylor and taking over after Coach Bliss, and what happened there is, once you start doing something,
mm-hmm.
and now you get caught in that corner, you got to make a decision. You either go, decide, I can't be doing this, or try to cover up the cover-up that leads to the cover-up, and next thing you know, your career is shattered. So
exactly.
It's an interesting profession, but we're not perfect. If we were, then we wouldn't be here. So we just got to keep on mentoring and keep on making sure guys understand.
Yeah, Coach, I'm with you. Let me ask you a couple questions I wanted to ask you about so that we could use on our show. One, I want to congratulate you on that win you had over Purdue earlier in the year. Byron saying that the kids really bought in. It's a little more than that. Coach, tell me what that win did for you. You were already doing pretty good, but tell us what that did for North Florida basketball.
I think first of all, the culture that we've created here. We've played 30-plus games against Power 5 teams, and for us, obviously, it's a monetary gain for the program and for the athletic department that's enormous and has to be done. For the players, as the game is played, it's an opportunity to play against guys they see on TVs and venues they see on TVs, against AAU guys who they played against quite a bit. But like everything else in life, it wears on you. When you lose at Michigan State, you lose at Indiana, you lose at Ohio State, and you're getting beat pretty good, that stuff wears on you as well too. And Northwestern, 3 minutes to go in the game, we're up 7, and I did a bad job coaching. I blew that game for us, and we lost. In this game, 3 minutes to go, we're down 7, and we end up, going up 6. And it's a tribute to the guys and the guys' ability to really go to another level and to play within themselves. So I think that win did a lot more for the guys' psyche and for the guys' understanding that, you got to be resilient. And it wasn't like we got lucky. It wasn't like we made a whole bunch of stuff we ain't never done. We was actually losing and was able to come by and win handily. So to me, that's huge. And the other thing is, from a recruiting basis, obviously, when you got guys blowing it up on Twitter, there are Jeff Goodmans and Fran Paschellas and Doug Gottliebs and guys that have, hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, Andy Katz, that obviously creates a different bubble for you as well, too, so to speak. So, to me, it's a double-edged sword.
Right. But you touched on something, Coach, that is very difficult for coaches that most people don't understand. They'll tell you get evaluated by the conference game, not by the money games. Well, your kids are getting beat up in those money games. How do you handle it mentally to be able to compete like that and then turn around and get them ready for the conference games and make them think you know what the heck you're telling them when you tell them this will work?
Well, it's I tell you what, someday maybe I'll make a lot of money talking about how we've been able to do that. Because if you look at our record, we've been very successful within our league, and we played an average of 6 plus Power 5. Plus we played Northern Iowa this year. They're top 20 in the country.
Yes, they are.
And the one thing we tell our guys, Coach, is we go in I tell our guys, we could do two things. We could say, let's go play the best we can. Let's make the greatest, rah effort we can possibly make. And then as soon as the game's over, let's go get a steak and let's spend some of the money and then let's move on to the next game. Or we can prepare, coach, and go about it that way, like we would every single game that we're going to do every single night, whether it's Edward Waters, Trinity Baptist, or Weber, or Purdue, Alabama, South Carolina, whatever. And so the guys don't want to go in there saying we can't, because that's not our culture. So we handle every game. Now, obviously, the key is not letting one loss lead to two. And that would be the best phrase I would have for you is we've done a really good job. Our assistants have done a really good job and coaching me through making sure that it is what it is. We learn from what we learn. We look at what we look. But most importantly, the next game on the schedule is the most important game. And, that's been critical and crucial to our guys' understanding it's not the end all, and there's a greater plan, and there's a greater purpose. Let's make sure we find it.
Okay. Well, okay, Coach. Let me ask you something else. We were discussing, and we've been in discussion about the tremendous athletes that reside in the state of Florida. Our athletic talent doesn't take a back seat to anybody, especially in some of our other sports, football, track, baseball, golf. What can we do to try to enhance the brand of basketball in the state of Florida? Because our athletes aren't quite up to par as they are in numbers as they are in some of our other sports. What can we do to make it better?
You know what, Coach Clayton? It's a great question, and unfortunately for you, I got a good answer for you.
That's what I want to hear.
I was in Texas at the University of Baylor for 6 years. We were a football state, and still are. Texas still is pretty much a football state. However, about 2003 when I got there, they actually had more kids drafted in the first round. They had 6 go 1 year. And what people didn't realize is, and Florida's starting to go that way too. I think in Florida we've done a better job separating, getting basketball coaches to coach basketball as opposed to making them coach football and be a basketball coach, so to speak. So therefore there's greater emphasis on fundamentals, there's greater emphasis on preseason and postseason skill work, and there's greater emphasis on basketball having an importance, so to speak. Secondly, I think that one of the best things we've done is our AAU programs. There are a lot, and I know they let high school coaches coach AAU, which I think is critical because now those kids are getting consistency when those guys are being coached. And if you look at some of the most successful AAU programs, it's the coaching they have and the leadership they have is very consistent so the skill level is raised. The one thing I don't think we do a good job is, I don't think, like, anytime your season is over in February in the state, I think that's an embarrassment. Like, how can basketball not be March Madness at Lakeland or wherever you're going to hold the state tournament? And to me, I think it does a disservice and a disjustice, and it sends a message to people and probably the kids at some point that is basketball really that important, or is it just a midway, to make sure we get the spring football okay? And in my opinion, the first two things are what's really good, so two sugars, but the one lump would be, we've got to find a way to make sure that basketball has a sense of belonging, and these kids understand, because there are a lot of Division I players who are playing in the state and out of the state. And, like you said, it's getting better and better and better in the athleticism. But they talk about, just look at our team alone. Dallas Moore is a beast, freshman of the year from Florida. Romello Banks is starting for us every game from Kissimmee. Bo Beach is from right here in Ponte Vedra, started every game of his career for us, and he's from Florida. So, three of our guys, then you got Trent Mackey off the bench, who's the 8th best shooter in America from Tampa. So, Florida has got a lot of really good players. And to be freshman of the year, you got to be pretty skilled coming in. You can't just be an athlete. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely it does. I understand completely what you're saying. Coach, you've done a good job there. Now, excuse me, you touched on something. What is your thought? You're a proponent of AAU basketball. What is your feel with AAU?
Absolutely, 100% proponent. Coach Kennan, who's been a lifer along the state of Florida and in this league, and has been around this state so much. I've seen AAU just change so much. I actually wish it wasn't so watered down. I wish there were less teams, because the greatest thing about AAU is you get to see those guys in a different venue, in a different environment, coached by different people, around different players, some better, and then playing against, different consistencies. The one problem with high school basketball is, sometimes you get a lot of 80 to 30 games, and those are hard to evaluate. And I like the AAU because it allows us to see these kids in those different settings. And I'll give you a great example. Dallas Moore. Nobody thought he was a lead guard. Everybody thought he was just a scorer at 6'1". So maybe some people didn't touch it because he was a little too little to play the scoring guard for him. Goes and plays AAU. Casey Hill doesn't play some games. He's a little injured sometimes. Yada, yada, yada. He gets to slide over and play the lead guard, and he was a monster. And all he's played for us since he's been here is the lead guard. So, to me, I think AAU can really, really, really help kids because it gives them a different venue and a different place.
No, heck of an answer there, Coach. Coach, I think I have enough for what I need. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to send a link. I have your email address. I'm going to send a link to you. You could use it as you wish and hear your interview.
Sounds great. Thanks, Coach Clayton.
Coach, I wish you the absolute best, and perhaps we'll get a chance to talk to you when you get ready to go to the dance this year after you win the tournament.
Hey, God willing.
Okay, Coach. Thanks a lot.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.